The bane of my existence, Fatal J. You bring that up right before we go live? Oh, my goodness. I do want to say welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time for the best comic book-centric podcast on the YouTubes, on the interwebs. The Comics Aficionados are here live. We're here. We're going to celebrate some 10K subscribers for myself and Perch. We got a special guest, Doug Ernst, with us today. We're going to talk about what little news there is to talk about. We should have a good time with this. Hopefully, we'll have lots of people in here, and we'll have lots of good comic book talk. Obviously, like I mentioned, we do have a great panel, and the special guest, the man of the hour, Doug Ernst. How you doing, buddy?
No, you're the special guest. You're the 10K subs guy. So thank you it's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm glad you can make it, buddy. It's you work so much. It's great when you can actually come on and talk about comics and everything. I know you've got a big book coming up, right?
Yeah, I wish it was out towards the end of last year. It's Soulfinder Black Tide. It's completely finished. It's at the printer. It's been there, but I'm a pain in the butt, and I wanted them to do some specific things to the covers. There's a soft cover and hardcover edition. I want everything printed before I sort of launch a campaign, and finally they were just like, Doug, dude, we can't do what you want on this one. There's one specification we can't do it, but we could do something else. We'll work something out. So I wanted to have there's like a submarine on the cover, and I wanted like a spot application of like a metallic finish, so the submarine just would feel metallic to the reader. And they're like, no, they could technically do it, but it was causing all sorts of political issues. And so finally, I just dropped it. I just want to get it printed and then start on the next one. So it should be out in the near future, hopefully.
Awesome. So I don't know if you're going to have any preview pages, but we are going to talk about the campaign here in a little bit after we talk about some Spider-Man news. So I don't know if you want to share anything, but we're gonna pick your brain and see what's going on with that campaign, or what people should be looking forward to with Father Red or the Soul Finders in the sequel to a very well received comic book debut. And what is that? It was 2018.
No, it was 2019. It was towards the end of the year, around Halloween.
Yeah, that's right.
A really nice book, yeah.
Yeah, because we actually hung out in 2019.
Yeah, no, I've been watching.
That was 2019, like January.
Oh yeah, no. When we physically hung out together, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah. So yeah, it was nice having you. Obviously, the COVID ruined any other plans for visiting and stuff like that. I know you guys were supposed to go to Hawaii or something.
Yeah, and actually, I'm ready to get back to the Philippines. So I got really, really sick on the way home. I caught something nasty in Hong Kong. Maybe it was actually COVID. I don't even know. I was for like an entire month. It was like literally right before they locked everything down in Los Angeles. But finally I recovered, and I told my wife, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go back to the Philippines. I think we could do this again. So as soon as all this stuff cools down, we'll be planning to go back to the Philippines.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be very excited. I know my son cannot wait to see Tito Doug again. He talks about it.
Very nice. Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome, man.
So who else we got here? We've always the other guy that hit 10K subscribers. I think we did that within hours of each other, Perch. Well, literally minutes. It's like it was meant to be.
It was weird, definitely strange, but yeah, congratulations. I think you definitely deserve it, and it's been a wild year. So anxious for new stuff and doing new things.
Absolutely, you had a pretty crazy year. Most people probably know this. You were supposed to actually reopen a comic shop this year, but
you bet. Yeah. Yeah, it should have been open in the late spring. Should have been open in March and April, and it got drug out, and now I'm just waiting for things to calm down again. But hopefully, we just lost a year, and around March or April of this year, now 2021, we get that open, and I'm very anxious for that to happen. So, with any luck, but thanks for everybody who keep me company during this year on YouTube virtually, which is super lame, but you guys are not, so thank you.
Absolutely. Also with me, Skip and Tosh, you finally made it in all the way from California. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. I'm happy to be amongst the people and happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad you can make it, buddy. Obviously, you've got big thing. You're working on a project now too, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, I got a little OGN cooking with Comics Quirks, Jimmy from Comics Quirks. A lot of y'all probably know him. We're working on a book together, which hopefully we'll have some little preview for people around July, hopefully. But scripts are almost done, and I'm really excited about it. Should be fun.
It's crazy. Everybody's got projects. I know Perchy's he's got a project he's working on too. I think he might have two.
It's
Doc, you're Tom, you don't have any comic book projects you're making, right?
No.
Oh,
I have
that's good.
no interest in it. Maybe when I was like 19, but no, I'm not putting in the effort. I got plenty. I got literally stacks of scripts and sketches and shit like that, but I ain't doing anything with them. They're gonna sit in a drawer until the day I die.
Geez, you really brought the atmosphere down here, Doc. Let's bring it up a notch and bring it up to somebody a little bit, happier with their disposition. Pele, how you doing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait. So it's a step
good.
up from me to Pele?
Yeah.
Apparently.
That's always. Yeah. Big step. Yeah. I'm doing all right. Yeah. Dealing with my COVID vaccination and kind of ass dragging for the last few days since then, but I'm here. Yeah, it'll be all right. I'll recover.
Well, congratulations on getting the vaccine. I hope it all works out for you and you're feeling better and back to normal in no time.
Whatever normal is. Yeah.
All right, so I guess we should probably get into the comic book topic. This was a big week for Spider-Man fans. It's nice that we have Doug here. We know if you've been a fan of Doug's channel back when he was producing a lot more like video-based content rather than streams, which he's been doing since he started writing. He was like a Spider-Man channel. You had your entire blog almost related to Spider-Man. I know you were reading Last Remains, correct?
Correct. Yes, I've been. I don't do any reviews on Nick Spencer because he never apologized for some mean things he said yesterday about large populations of fans. So I was like, all right, I've always read Spider-Man since I was a little boy. I will continue to read Spider-Man. And he is a lot stronger writer than Dan Slott, in my opinion. And I think he's done a lot of good work. But I was like, but I'm not going to go out of my way to promote him. I'm not going to spend hours editing videos to promote a guy who basically said it's a myth that Republicans could be good people. But I have been reading it, and I think he's a very good writer.
What a jackhole.
Yeah. Come on. Hey, let's talk about the comic book. So the story's good, and I'm really enjoying it. But this was supposed to be the last chapter of Last Remains before they go to Last Remains Postmortem, which is supposed to be like the fallout of Last Remains. I got to ask you, Doug, you're right. What was completed? It feels like nothing ended.
Yeah, I watched your review when it came out, and I was like, okay, I'm on the same page. I felt as if it was like, wait a second, huh? And there was some stuff that came in where I was just like, is this come out of left field, or is this kind of me? And I get it. I saw some of the critical responses in your comment section where they're like, well, it's not technically over, Wes. And it's just like, well, it was kind of built up to have some sort of a better resolution than that. I mean, it's still, again, strong writing, like you said, but I felt like he didn't really put a bow on it like it should have been. So it's like, okay, whatever. But I'm still going to, get the next couple issues, and I hope it all resolves itself. But I did feel like that was kind of rushed and weird at the end of the last issue. Yeah.
So Doug let the cat out of the bag. People were not so nice to me. They're like, that's not the end of the story. The next stories are called Last Remains Postmortem. But listen, I'm not the schlub here who called it Last Remains and made it a 5 or 6 issue story arc and changed the name. That indicates that there's some type of finality and they're moving on to something else.
It had a checklist at the end with this being the last issue and listed it as being the finale and the big conclusion. Yeah, I mean, you're crazy for thinking that was a final issue, despite the fact that they build it completely as a final issue. Absolutely crazy. No, I mean, obviously stories continue. Comics books are like soap operas, so of course they're going to continue and everything else. But typically, events, despite subverting our expectations, are supposed to, more or less come to some level of conclusion. This one ended on a cliffhanger. I mean, so end on a cliffhanger as an end to an event is not typical. So yes, it obviously is going to continue, but this is a bold new move from the company that likes to mix it up.
Zero resolution to any of the story that they were telling in Last Remains.
Yeah.
Just
like
the default on all of this every single time is everything is stupid and nothing matters.
Well, if even finally Peter Parker confessed and admitted he did something wrong, and the fallout is him dealing with that afterwards, right? That's resolution.
Yes,
sure.
Him in the middle of dinner and MJ, getting ready to sacrifice herself, to save Peter and his friends, and then Kingpin and the Green Goblin showing up with like a SWAT team to take out Kid. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was missing a page. I mean, what they were trying to do is kind of thematically make it like One More Day, where it kind of went to black, and then he wakes up and Peter is back, kind of, time is reverted, time has changed, and he's in this new reality where stuff's been erased. And so thematically, I figured they were doing the same thing. It went to black. They just forgot those extra pages to actually set up the next page. It just went to black. It's like that. There you go.
And like you said, they had the checklist in the back, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I got the last one. Okay. So
Yeah.
This I compared this to like if halfway through the Dark Phoenix saga, they just decided to just call it Dark Phoenix Postmortem or Aftermath when the actual event still isn't even over. It'd be one thing if they called this, I don't know, Last Remains Next Phase. But calling it postmortem implies that it's already over, and you're looking back at it.
Mm-hmm.
Except for it's not over.
Well,
It'll never be over.
We can't look back yet.
It's just clunky. I mean, I get wanting to spin the story out, and clearly, I mean, it seemed pretty clear when Nick Spencer's not leaving the title or anything like that. They're going to keep this rolling to some extent, but it was a weird ending. If the story, with 2 issues from now, it's great, and there's been some kind of good resolution, I think people will grumble less. But it's just goofy.
It was like what is it? Return of the Jedi when they go into the asteroid field.
Sure. Yeah.
What? This isn't the end of the movie. Where's the rest of it?
Well, it'd be like if Ten of Swords, they sat down for that dinner, and then it was over.
Oh,
Yes.
that would have been a sweet relief.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, no, we're going to get
it's-
that. We'll get that when we get to the Hellfire Gala.
Oh, yeah.
Since it's another event built around a fucking dinner party.
But I'm
What
loving
is
Last
it with
Remains. I don't want to get anyone twisted. I'm really enjoying the story. I was just really confused because I thought Perch and I were going to be doing a Last Remains wrap-up this week. And there's nothing to wrap up.
Yeah, not this week. Yeah.
This is, the problem that the vibe I'm getting out of this, and now it's both good and bad, is Clone Saga, where it just kind of doesn't end. Like it just like every time they promise a resolution, it's just to the next thing. There's not even a resolution to that thing. It just kind of goes to changing into something else. And I feel like that's kind of where they're stuck at right now. And then the Clone Saga kind of continued on for like 4 freaking years before somebody finally decided to just have Norman show up and come back to life and be like, haha, it was me the whole time.
Well, I like your point, Wes, where you're like, wait, I thought Norman was depowered. Why is he like dominating this fight? Is it only because he's a dad? Like, you always have dad strength, I guess. But, so I read that too, and I was like, yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah, Kindred's been built up. He stole all these powers from Sin Eater. He's basically toying with Peter at every turn, and then next thing you know, he's caught off guard. It's like, you're a demon. What the hell is this? So, hopefully, there's some good resolution to it. I like I said, I am enjoying the story. I'm definitely going to keep reading it. But Pele, at the shop, did you have any Amazing Spider-Man readers? What were their thoughts on the last chapter of Last Remains?
They were like, what did we miss? Immediately they were asking if there was a supplement or something like that coming out this week that was supposed to, explain what happened. And where's the rest of it? And I'm like, that there it is.
Okay.
You got to read between the lines, I guess. And they're like, just doesn't make anyway. It kind of pieced it all together and all that. And it's fine, I guess. But it does feel like just an incomplete meal.
So, Perch, is this leading to like a Spider-Man event? There's got to be a Spidey event in 2021, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, everything's leading to an event. Don't be crazy here. It's all an event. I mean, we'll get more events. Don't worry.
Just wait for the event of events.
Yeah, it will be fine. No, I mean, sure. This will continue. We'll get him in his new suit, and who knows? Mary Jane under there. I don't know. Who knows what's going on? But this will spin out. I mean, it's our goal is to get to issue 100, so we've got 50 more to go.
Last remains.
Yeah, more remains for the final time.
Final House of Remains.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, the Last Remains. The last, whatever.
Omega Remains.
But yeah, it was a bit clunky. Obviously, I'm going to keep reading. I am enjoying what Dick Spencer's done on Spider-Man. I don't know. What do you think of the new costume, Doug? I guess we got to talk about that. Is the gray and blue look with orange accents your thing?
It just feels kind of Chicago Bears-y to me or something. It's just
Mets.
It's
Mets.
The New York Mets Spidey. And it's just it's another one of those things where it's like I can't get that upset because he's going to go back to his classic uniform, but at the same time it just felt the artist is actually like a really good artist, so I'm just like, who came up with this? Is he being dictated he has to do this? How much control did he have? Like, I don't understand. It just kind of looks kind of gaudy and cheesy and bad to me. So I'm just like, well, at least it's probably only going to be around for a couple months, but it looks bad.
I imagine it'll look better when Patrick Gleason illustrates it. But we do have a comment from Ryan Wilson, and he says, say I want to make a comic book on my own. How would you find an artist, and how much would you need to pay him if you wanted to do it in black and white? Doug, you just went through this relatively recently, having to find artists. How do you find an artist, and what are the going rates?
Yeah, I mean, everybody sort of has their different route to getting their comic book made, so I don't think there's not one blueprint per se, but so I met Timothy Lim through just my YouTube channel. He started watching my videos and commenting, and then he followed me on Twitter, and then we were talking on Twitter. So it was really an organic relationship, and at the time I wasn't even planning on writing what would become Demon's Match. So we just became friends through social media, and we both share the same faith. We are on the same page basically on a lot of political things, so that we just kind of became friends through that. And then it was a natural sort of, when the idea for Soul Finder came up, I've said before, he had a similar idea when he was a child, so it just was a natural fit. And then through Tim's friends with Matt Weldon, and when I went down to Bell County Comic Con in, August of 2019, pre-corona, I met Matt, and Matt and I got along really well. And then Tim has his own IPs that he wants to focus on, and but Matt is also a man of faith, and he kind of liked what Soul Finder was about, and so that organically took place. So I would say that the key is just to be on social media and be talking to guys like yourself and Perch and and eventually these sorts of friendships and networks organically happen. I don't like when people just come out of the blue and they're just like, hey, they try and force themselves into it's a weird thing. I'll get DMs or emails every once in a while with people that want to somehow work, like collaborate, but they don't properly introduce themselves. It's just like, when are we doing this? Or, that sort of thing. And I'm just like, well, not if you introduce yourself like that.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Yeah, and then rates are weird too, because with Demon's Match, we just split everything equally. And I know a lot of people don't do that. Artists want so much and colorists want so much. So everything was equal. And then when I came on and when Matt and I did our thing, it was the same thing. Everything's going to be equal. So that takes away arguments about money totally off the table. But I understand that not everybody's going to have that situation. And I feel like the person who's putting up the capital and taking the most financial risk, if they want more of a cut or whatever, like, I feel like they should be entitled to that, because you're the one putting up literally thousands of dollars of your own money. But like I said, for our projects, I like to take the money issue off the table, and it's just, we're going to split everything equally, and that's how it's going to go.
So Skip, I know you and Jimmy are working on a project. Are either one of you artists?
No, neither one of us are artists. I'm actually getting into it though. I've started looking into and like researching all of those types of things. Obviously, I found out a lot more about coloring, so I'm still exploring a little bit of that. But no, we're looking for artists currently right now, and I guess everybody that's an artist just heard that. So, hi, artists. I'm looking for you. But no. So we're still in that process. But what's nice is we have been talking to different ones, and it's interesting finding out about people's rates and stuff like that. And Javane has been incredible. A lot of people here are familiar with Javane from being on the panel as well. And what's really interesting is, like, something that Purchase Channel talks about a lot, like the economics, the financials behind comics and all that stuff. So it's been really interesting starting to kind of figure that part out and balance that out, because the creativity for me personally is easy. Even the challenges are easy. I'm a person who likes to take on challenges and usually fairly easily rises to them. I never feel like challenges are challenges in a weird way, but something that's within creativity, but something that's not in my field, like with money, because I suck with that, it's a whole different challenge. And it's really fun starting to figure out that part of it and having to make the dollars and cents make sense. So it's fun. But artists, we got a little bit of money, so don't worry, we're not looking for you to work for free. Hi.
Come on. Pencil pushers. Hit up Skip.
All right, so we've got somebody else working on a book here. Obviously, Perch, I think you're working on a couple books, but aren't you an artist yourself?
I mean, no. I draw things, but I'm not at the level of a lot of other people. I'm just fooling around. So, I'm doing something because I want to walk through the process on my own. Then I'm helping some other folks out that I think is getting announced next week. So, there's some stuff coming, and it's fun. It's just fun to do the process. I'm not looking to do this full time. Like the shop is my love, not producing comics in this way. But we'll see. It's just fun to do the task.
So, what have you thought about going out and trying to find an artist? Is it difficult?
Yeah.
Intimidating? What do you do to establish the relationship?
Well, I think it can be. I think that the challenge is, I'll say this from a different perspective, that one of the challenges is you typically do make friends, and Doug, like, for example, in your story, you had a really great path to getting a good team assembled. The other way to do it is there's lots of people who may want to do projects with you, just anybody, myself, whoever, when you start to go out to do a comic, and you just have to make sure that whatever your story is that you're planning to do fits with whoever is coming to you. It's very tempting to say, I want to work with this friend of mine, this person's really good, But if you don't have the kind of synergy like Doug had with Tim, if that work doesn't fit together, then you just wind up in a kind of a weird relationship that isn't positive. That's been the thing that a lot of people I know run into, where they have a really great story idea, they want to work with a friend, but that friend's style doesn't fit that story idea, and so you get kind of off on the wrong track. So the key is to make sure that whoever you're picking and whoever comes, when you start to solicit that relationship, it fits what you're trying to do. And I think there's a lot of different paths to do that, but it's really important that the end product remains consistent with both.
And I would say, if it's possible, if they're even remotely close to your location, if you could meet physically in person and break bread and sit down with that person and eat dinner with them and look them in the eye and spend time with them one-on-one, I would say that would help a lot. Before Tim even started drawing Demon's Match, I went down to Florida while he was there, and we spent like 4 or 5 days together, and I met Mark Pellegrini as well. And you just really definitely get to know someone, and there's more of a bond formed, because during the creative process, once the book gets going, there's always going to be obstacles that come up, whether they're creative obstacles, whether they're financial obstacles, all sorts of weird, bizarre things that are going to stress your relationship with that other person. And if the only thing that you know about that person is them saying, yeah, I'll do your book, we like each other in chat rooms or whatever, it's going to... and you don't want to build your house on sand. So meet them in person, if at all possible.
Yeah, this is a good conversation, because this is going to be the year I'm going to try and put some stuff together. I know Doug has been somewhat gracious to allow me an opportunity to maybe consult or work on a little bit of a project with you, right?
Well, yeah. Oh, I wasn't sure if you'd mention or not. I was writing all day yesterday, and that's what I was doing. But it was one of those weird things where I was talking to you about this new idea I had that I was going to start writing, and you're like, you do realize that in my past professional life, that's exactly what I sort of focused on. And I was like, wow, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just talking to someone I trusted. So if you could be a consultant and help me out, that would save me a lot of time with research. So thanks for that. I will be circling back with you and leaning on you for a few things to be able to speak with more authority on the issue.
Well, I'm excited. I have some ideas on how to do layouts and everything, but I'd like to say someone that's actually finished a project and maybe get in and pick your brain a little bit and see if I have some ideas. We'll see where it goes, but we're all writing comic books nowadays, right?
Feels like it, yeah.
For me. That already.
Doc's just here to critique us.
Yes, I am. Yes. As I said, maybe when I was a teenager, but no, not anymore. That shit doesn't leave a drawer.
All right, so I guess we should get back to what we were talking about. So thank you for the interjection there, Ryan. Really appreciate that. That was a good conversation. Now, getting back to this new Spider-Man costume. I don't... Skip, have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Does Spider-Man have a head?
Does Spider-Man have a head?
It appears he's got like a skin-tight, suit on like he normally does, but he's got like there's a bolt here, and his head is that's clearly metal. Does he have a head anymore?
I thought that part looked pretty mechanical, and they chose an interesting shape for it. I mean, I don't know if does Spider-Man have a head. Do we know who Spider-Man is under there? Is it a spider bot? I don't know. All I know is that color palette is putrid. That's like what it looks like when you eat too much pizza and orange juice, and like your brother spins you around in circles multiple times in your Ralph.
This is what Comic Book Hut would do if he were writing Spider-Man, because he's a Mets fan.
Yeah, all those Mets fans. Those Mets fans. That's who it is.
Joe Q's a huge Mets fan.
Yeah.
And he always likes to break fucking Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's always broke. I mean, remember, Peter Parker's always broke. So, he just, he's representing the Mets. They're probably writing him a check. Hey, what's wrong with that?
It has all the feeling that he's super injured coming out of this in some way, and he has to remote pilot a dummy Superman, which is why it looks a little bit like a crash test dummy for a while, and that's that's what we've got. And maybe Kingpin and Norman fund this spider bot because it's important to the city, but Spider-Man suspects them of ulterior motives, and that's what's going on. I that all sounds stupid to me, but okay.
I just want to know why he has headlights for eyes.
Because he's a robot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like
That would be the good reason.
I do want to say thank you very much to Ryan Wilson for the $4.99 super chat. And he says, are there any suggestions on where to learn how to write a comic, whether it be scripting, videos, things like that? Is it?
You know what? J. Michael Straczynski did a screenwriting book that's really good for teaching you basic scripting that is very applicable to comics as well.
All right. Let me look at. So if you're not subscribed to a channel, it's called David V. Stewart. He's got playlists in there, and it's got a lot about like creating heroic archetypes, anti-heroes and stuff like that. So you can go there for like tips on how to like get your character voices straight and like motivations and everything. But he also did another thing. It was called the Write Stream, and I think it's like 50 issues. I think he taught this stuff. He's a professor, and it's basically like a crash course on how to write, and it includes those tips. And on the end, he actually goes in there and you write a script in 4 weeks. Now, it's not specifically for comic books. It's for like a self-published novel. But, I'm sure those kind of things transfer and all that information is free. Aid is a super nice guy, and if you message him, he will definitely get back to you. I've had him on the channel a couple of times. That's a resource I personally like a lot. Perch, is there like a specific book that you've leaned on how to write comic books or like maybe tutorial series?
Well, I mean, if you're not mentioning the Words Not Pictures by Brian Michael Bendis, I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, it's a lesson in how to write comics, and the best
That's about book, Words Not Pictures.
Yeah, and the great part about it is you don't need to
words over all the pictures.
Yeah, you can, to the earlier art comment, I mean, you can save a lot on an artist by taking his approach too, because you won't pay for less of it. But no, there's a lot of good ones. I mean, there's good screenwriting books. I think for me, I would say don't limit yourself to comics. Look for other books where people are talking about writing short stories or writing novels or writing serialized work. There's a ton out there. In fact, there's a lot in that area. And you might get better advice because you're going to get something more likely that fits you as a person, what you like to write and kind of your style. You're more likely to find something like that. And I found some books about writing kind of short stories and drama and how to kind of build up tension that was really kind of based for serialized TV, but it fits completely for comics, and it spoke to me in terms of how I write, and that's where I would go. There's tons. If you just broaden yourself beyond comics, you can find a lot.
And then someone's mentioning Denny O'Neil wrote a book on comic book writing.
Yeah.
Tons of experience writing and actually as an editor, so that would probably be a very good resource as well. But yeah, I think if you go to those places to get started, it's like anything. Once you do something, you'll realize pretty quickly what you're not doing well, and you got to focus on those areas. Your weak point training if you're doing, working out in the gym, stuff like that. So I would definitely go check out those resources. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Ryan Wilson. I really appreciate that.
Just one last piece of advice, Ryan. I'd say if you've got a script or you got something you want to do, find some people you can bounce it off of who are not your friends or not people inside your circle who are going to tell you that everything you're doing is chef kiss awesome. Just find somebody that is kind of be more neutral. That's one of the biggest things I see. A lot of people, they solicit these things. They can reach out to exactly the people who are going to tell them it's wonderful. And they just never leave that bubble. So find some good people.
If you could find somebody who does not care about hurting your feelings because they feel like if I tell this guy the truth, I'm doing him a favor in the long run. And so with my own stuff, Mark Pellegrini was really great with that. Mark will not pull any punches, but he's doing it out of love for you. And so find somebody that will just tell you the truth and not sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
You need a cynical a-hole uncle like myself or Perch, or possibly even Doc, although Doc might be a little too critical.
See, I'm sending all my stuff to Doc first. I'm just going to let him rip it apart. I'm going to get all the crying and everything out of the way early, so when everybody else reads the book finally, I'll be like, I could take it. Doc
Yes.
already ripped it apart. I can take it.
Yes.
Oh, but if I may add, one resource that actually, again, Jimmy from Comics Quirks had actually showed me as we began the process of writing ours was this website called Comics Experience. There's actually a script section that has tons of scripts from, everybody, Jonathan Hickman and Brian Michael Bendis, and some of your favorite writers and some people that may not be, but all professional scripts that you can go and you could take a look out and see how all they lay them out. It is a little different from screenplays, which in Hollywood are a lot more formulated, there's a lot more of a formula that you kind of stick to out there in a format. But in comics, you'll see you have people do it in a lot more different ways, which is kind of cool because, if you're a different type of person and laying things out for you, you want to do it in a specific way that makes a little more sense. Or if you're collaborating with an artist and, you can lay things out in references and with a bit more liberty than you can in when you write screenplays and whatnot. And Brian Hill had said the script writing book by J. Michael Straczynski was really, really good too. I just haven't gotten around to picking that up.
Yeah, I got a copy of it upstairs. It's really good.
Nice.
First, if you were writing a comic, would you do it the Marvel way and just let the artist do all the work and then fill in the words later?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I would just, I would kind of half-ass around a little bit, and then I'd get Christos Gage to come in and finish it for me, and
Oh, so you're Dan Slott. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I would just do that. But he's a good guy. He'll do whatever you need.
No, don't try to change it now. He's a big guy. You're Dan Slott. I wonder why we never saw your face.
There you go.
Dan Slott. It's me, Austin. It's been me the whole time. You're Dan Slott. I knew it.
That would be the greatest reveal of all time.
Oh my God!
I don't breathe heavy enough to be Dan Slott. Sorry.
No, you don't.
That's all wrong.
Huffs and puffs, man. It's like he's always climbed it's like he's always climbing a set of stairs.
He's always climbing himself, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the Spider-Man design.
I'm going to be a massive dick. When you're that large, breathing puts you out of breath.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So let's get back to the Spider-Man stuff. And we do have a bona fide great artist in the chats right now. We got Eric Canetti. If you haven't seen his recent illustration of Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes on Twitter about my jaw was on the floor when I saw it. It was absolutely beautiful. But he wanted to say, can we talk about the new Spider-Man design independently? Or if people are just reacting to it, in comparison to the classic red and blue design.
Personally,
I don't think it looks cool. I don't think the colors are right. And then I think that the flashlight eyes are weird.
Yeah. The flashlight eyes you take those out and you simplify the helmet or mask or whatever a little bit by eliminating that, you've already drastically improved the design, because there's a degree of simplicity. As difficult as it may be to draw the webbings and stuff, there's a degree of simplicity to Spider-Man's costume that is appealing to everybody. And they've done a lot of unnecessary additions. I mean, I still don't understand why they keep putting, glow sticks on Spider-Man's costume for the last decade, on and off. The light up LED stuff.
It feels like if they had Ecto Cooler when I was a kid, they're going to make some sort of radioactive fighting high C or something like that. That would be the color scheme that's on the high C with the bug eyes, and it would be limited edition, or I don't know. And it just feels weird.
I just don't understand why he wants to stand out, with the LEDs. It's it doesn't make any sense. It's from a stealth perspective, from a, spiders are kind of stealthy hunters. They're not, ooh, look at me.
It's the reason why the black costume worked so great, because it was elegant simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
It's video game.
Still my favorite costume.
Yeah.
This is video game DLC. That's what it looks like. I think, Eric, anytime you're going to mess with an original classic costume, people are going to object, and it's going to be odd and foreign, and people, it's tough.
It's all part of the Fortnite-ification of Marvel.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's a tough one, though. I mean, and to your point, I mean, there's parts of that costume that are going to be a super pain in the butt for people to render. And this is one of the Weaver's usually, I think, better at this. He tends to design costumes that are easy to render and kind of artists can adapt to at different styles. And this one's going to be tough for people to come in and do. I mean, but like I said, I strongly suspect this whole costume is built into a storyline where it's not Peter under there, and there's a reason, and that will probably make some of the glowy parts make more sense because
the orange highlights have to be some type of power source, right?
Yeah, power in the food or something or other.
Because if it's not and it's an actual design choice, Spider-Man, unless it's powered by magic or energy or something, orange does not belong on a Spider-Man costume. Period. I mean, I'm not even joking around here. It just doesn't belong
Unless Spider-Man moved to Knoxville.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's getting sponsored by the fucking Knicks or the Mets, he
Gators.
No. I mean, hell, at that point, I'd ask the Yankees whether or not they could do something, because at least they're just like kind of blue and gray and white. That
you could make a really cool looking
Yankees. Yes, you could.
With the deep navy blue and that would look good.
Yeah,
you want pinstripes on Spider-Man?
You can get away without the pinstripes. But yeah, I mean, I'd go for a Yankees, with Steinbrenner paying for your stuff instead of whoever the hell the clown is that owns the Mets these days.
So there is a question from Duke. This is also Shanghala, the comic book clubhouse. He has his own YouTube channel. If you're into comic book collection and speculation, I suggest you go over there. He works in the shop that he does comic book grading live on his channel. If you're interested in comic book grading and stuff like that, go check out Shanghala. He's a really good dude. He's saying, so who do we think is in the blue suit? I think it's nobody. It's not Peter Parker. Pert seems to think that it's not a person at all. He thinks it's just a robot. What do you think it is, Skip? Is there a person in there? Is there a headless Peter Parker?
Yeah, no, that's what I said earlier. Yeah, look, I think it's a spider bot. I don't think it's actually. I definitely don't think it's Peter Parker. But I don't think it's even a human. I believe it is some sort of android.
He took an old Ultron drone and converted it.
There you go.
That's my answer.
Dude.
I mean, he's been the storyline seen Peter, murdered a bunch of things. But Shang-Hal, great channel. I just noticed I was not subscribed, so got subbed. Everybody should. But it is a. I mean, he's been put through some kind of ringer. He disappears into black goo. This is different black goo than black goo and King in Black. So we have multiple black goo going on. Always a good thing at Marvel. So I just he's got to heal, or there's going to be injuries, or something is going on that's going to have this happen. And I'm just some kind of android or robot, or it could be a clone. Sure. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be perfect?
Yeah.
So what's interesting? I really thought MJ was like potentially going to die in that issue. I thought they were going to kill her. I was kind of preparing myself for it.
Well, the way they hate redheads in comics and movies and everything else, it's bound to happen.
But
it's a conspiracy.
Like where they were going there, Doug?
Yeah, no, there was these sort of logical sort of stepping off points and closure that could have happened, and then it just was like, no, maybe we'll explore that another day. We're just putting it out there, and if we want to go down that road, we will, but maybe we won't. You'll see. Just keep buying. Which, again, I understand they need to keep things going or whatever, but I just didn't like the way that they did not put a bow on that.
Honestly, I think most people wouldn't really give a damn if they hadn't just called issue 55 the finale for Last Remains, and they didn't make the next. If they would have just kept going, without. They did this to themselves, honestly. Everybody's fine with whatever the hell they're calling this. Just don't keep changing its name in the middle. Because this is a fun arc.
Yeah. So the other big question is, it felt like in that issue, they were addressing more sins past than One More Day. Are they wiping anything out of out of history? Are they going to reset anything? Does anybody think that?
Not until issue 100.
Yeah.
I gotta
I'm
stick
hoping
around.
we get it at 75.
No, come on. Are you crazy? No, they're 100. 75. Now you can stretch this out another 50 issues. I mean,
They need something to celebrate an actual, Marvel milestone, because you haven't had a single fucking series hit 75 issues in about a decade there.
it just has all the. I mean, they just want to spin this on for perpetuity, and that's what's going on. I mean, they know that they can dangle the wait, we're going to give Peter his memory back, and
So it is the Clone Trunk.
And his costume back, because that's the only
Yeah, but-
reason why they really changed it. To
Well, they give him his
continue
memory back,
mediocrity.
but Mary Jane doesn't want him, after all this anyway. It's like, okay.
They've got to keep it going. As soon as they definitively do that, they lose a card. I mean, they've had this card that's just gotten people to keep buying for a long time because they do want to see that moment erased. And the second they do it, that's over. So they'll spin this out forever if they have to. And keep in mind, Marvel's promising at least some big Spider-Man event.
As hated as that issue is, I still sell it for pretty good money, as a back issue. It's like, I hate this comic. I hate it. Here, I'm buying it.
It's a hate buy.
Toilet paper. I'm taking it home.
It's like, and we're talking about like near mint copies of it, selling for like $30 a pop, and people are like, they'll pay $30 for a copy of it, and it's like, but you just said you hate it. Yeah, but I need a copy of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Spencer wants to have the Peter MJ relationship. For a couple reasons. I mean, it will align sort of vaguely with what's going to go on in the movies. It's good bait that fans want to see. The only thing is he doesn't want this to conclude anytime soon. It's going to live in that will they, won't they phase forever. If he can help it, it will, his entire run will forever be in the will they, won't they, because that's the fun chase that he wants to put together.
We all remember Friends. As soon as Ross and Rachel got together,
Yeah,
it wasn't good anymore.
exactly.
Yeah. So we shall see. There is a question from Jamal Lewis. I guess it feels like maybe I was ignoring it, but he wants to talk about Tony Stark.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about a real direction for an Iron Man series? It seems to me Tony Stark is a true alpha male that's on his purpose, closing deals, dating women, fighting international atrocity. That's obviously not the direction that Christopher Cantwell has decided to take the series. Prele and I talked about it on the channel. When's the last time they got Tony Stark right, Pele?
When he was an alcoholic?
When's the last time they got Tony Stark laid?
Yeah, when he was an alcoholic? About that time, really. I mean, it's not been since he had all those other demon in a bottle type era, type stuff is when, despite the fact he was having all the other personal issues, he was still Tony Stark, and since then, I mean, on again, off again, wussification will happen on occasion, but he's not been consistently the billionaire playboy, for decades.
Fraction.
So,
The Fraction run, I think, is what killed it.
yeah.
And everything since then has been.
And it's even
Screwed
before
up.
then he was kind of getting weak. He was kind of, losing his edge a bit, but it's been decades. So
Well, Teen Tony might be the problem.
just the whole AI rights type of thing. Oh God, that was the worst.
No, I'm talking about pre-Onslaught.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Teen Tony, whenever he was, because remember, real Tony turned out to be the traitor of the Avengers, and
Yeah.
they had to kill him, and then
Yeah.
they brought Teen Tony to the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
They parallaxed him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not even real Tony. Real Tony died a long, long, long time ago. So,
All right.
He's gone. He's dead.
Perch, you
Warn
already
him.
fixed
Warn
Tony
his
with
passing.
Joe?
Yeah.
What's the pitch?
Well, I mean, so first of all, you have to ask the question: Does Iron Man need any armor at all? I mean, the clear answer is no. So, I mean, the armor doesn't matter. So we basically take Tony Stark and we make him a internet games journalist, and that's his new job, where he's just basically kind of blogging and learning about games. And while he's doing that, he stumbles across a big conspiracy to actually pay game companies paying reviewers for good reviews. And so that becomes his new crusade.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would buy
Oh
that.
my god.
That feels like a better direction. Tony's.
Yeah. There we go.
What are we going to call this? This story?
Gamer
Iron
fence.
It's Iron.
Iron Gate.
Yeah.
Iron Gate.
Mhm.
I
There you
think
go, Iron Gate.
So I do want to say thank you to Drew with the
Gamer
late comments for the
Gamer
$5 super $4.99 super chat. This has been straight up character assassination. Customers aren't buying an Iron Man comic to read about Hellcat, and I agree with them. That's the best way I can characterize it. Doug, you're not the Iron Man guy. You're the Captain America Spider-Man guy, right?
I like Iron Man quite a bit. I grew up. My brother was a big Iron Man fan, and he got me into Iron Man as well. So, and yeah, everyone's hitting it on the head with this and talking about why is Hellcat focusing on her. Tony is just totally a rudderless ship right now, and so sometimes people are like, well, he's always had self-doubts and question. He beats himself up. I'm like, yeah, I get that. I do understand that. But there's a difference between somebody who's just very introspective and they're hard on themselves and just kind of not knowing what to do with a character. And so I'm not too thrilled about the current run right now. I've read 4 issues. I think it's through 4. I don't think I've missed an issue. And it's just one of those like, But the writer is actually like pretty. I can tell he's like a talented guy. I just think that they just don't know what to do with Tony for whatever reason.
Yep.
Man, first you felt like you had something to say there.
Yeah. Sorry, I immediately started coughing like crazy. No, I think that the comic division does not know what to do with the movies. The movies made this popular character they can't relate to, and they have no idea how to connect the dots there. So they kind of try and thematically make it like Robert Downey Jr., but they just cannot connect those two together.
Because everything that people like about him in the movies is problematic. He's a super rich player guy that can, that wins. They don't like that.
No. I mean, I think it kind of goes against a lot of what they're trying to do with the characters.
Yeah. Oh, and remember, I mean, he's not that anymore in the movies where we left off. For actually, I think for the last like 3 movies by the time really Iron Man 3 came along, he wasn't really the Iron Man that started out. So in the MCU, they did kind of start to move him over a little closer to what he is now in the comics. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's still like in the movies, they could still make him appealing because he was working amongst a bunch of other people. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure everybody agrees Iron Man 3 was just a train wreck. But they were still able to put who he was amongst all the other characters, Captain America and Thor and everybody else. So it was still intriguing. But I mean, if you take that character that was at the end of the movies and then put him in a comic, I think he'd probably be just as boring as what they're doing. Probably not as offensive, but just as boring as what they're doing in the book now.
Well, I mean, he wasn't. At the end of the MCU time, it was this last phase. He wasn't a womanizer, but he was still Tony Stark. He was still a smart ass, obnoxious, rich, crazy guy. And he still, was still Tony Stark. The problem lately in the comics is he's not been Tony Stark. He's just not the same individual anymore in any way. So it's just, just call him something else. Call him a different name. That's not who he is anymore.
Tony Stark, half the man.
Tony Stank.
Tony Stank. Doc.
Tony
Yeah.
Stank.
Yeah. I do want to say thank you very much to you, Murder That Guy, for the $5 super chat, and or $5 Canadian super chat, and that is a funny story about what you used to do with your nose. Thank you for contributing.
I love it.
What were you saying, Perch? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No. Just it's a shame. I think that writing Tony Stark, because Tony Stark in the movies is not the most unique personality in the world. That's a fairly generic kind of leading action man personality. A little bit of snark, and Downey carries it off very, very well. But it wouldn't be the hardest thing to replicate. But in the comics, I think there's just this there's this reluctance to want to write the character that way. They don't want to. The temptation is we've got to take him down a peg. That's always what we need to do. We need to just take him down. And maybe nobody wants to see him taken down. Well, not maybe. People don't want to see the character. They want to kind of celebrate the fact that he is capable of doing this stuff. So we get kind of this Tony.
Well, he's kind of been taken down a peg since Civil War when they made him a villain.
Yeah, no, that's the only go-to they have. It's like, let's deconstruct him and show him he's not as strong as he thought he is. But
of course, he's a rich white man. It's just, you can't have a rich white man and actually have privilege. Be a decent guy. Hell no, that's he's awful. He's a villain.
We need Howard Hughes, Tony Stark back.
Yes.
Crazy, wildly eccentric, and incredibly brilliant, and just does whatever the hell he wants.
What they should do is they should make Howard Stark the real Iron Man from another multiverse. He comes back and shows Tony what a douchebag he is nowadays, and tries to teach him to be a man. And when he fails, he beats the shit out of him.
Well, I think they tried that. I think they tried that with Arno Stark when they decided that Tony Stark isn't even a fucking Stark, and he's the son of a aging rock star and a SHIELD agent that inexplicably looks exactly like his adopted father.
I mean, yeah, that was goofy as hell. I mean, the sad part is like Joe's saying, I think Iron Man, just like Captain America, Wonder Woman, Superman, these are characters that should be easy to write. People consistently fumble them. With Iron Man, I think people get fixated on Demon in a bottle as being this thing that deconstructed him, took him down a peg, gave him some depth. So everybody wants to write that storyline. The problem is you can't always deconstruct somebody. Eventually, there's nothing left to deconstruct, and when you add it back up, you have to have a good run where the character is solid. There's nothing in the bank for Iron Man now. It's just consistently been deconstructed upon deconstruction upon deconstruction, and frankly, nobody wants Hellcat to have this level of promotion in a book. Nobody's asking for this.
Well,
this
Kate Left does.
Nobody who's buying this comic wants to see that. Yeah.
It's just
Hellcat was pretty bad. Actually, Doc and I just made a video. It'll be up on the channel tomorrow. The 5 things they need to stop in 2021, and one of them is the
going to do. What would have been perfect? Would have been perfect in that instance. She does all this preaching and everything at him, and she did all this crap. He goes over to he just looks over, pushes the button on the intercom. Could you get this woman out of my damn room? And they just open the window and throw her out.
She'll land on her feet.
Ejector seats for the guest chairs in his hospital room.
Yep. You just
Tony Stark don't need no help.
Yeah,
perfect.
I mean, I'm
Stark's
fine
back,
with
baby.
She'll land on her feet.
Yeah, it's just throwing a cat out a window. Who cares?
Yeah.
So I do want to say thank you very much for the $5 super chat to Comic Exposed. Congratulations on 10K West. You deserve it. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations on your YouTube channel. He just got started up within the last few weeks. If you haven't gone over to Comics Exposed and checked out his channel and subscribed, I highly suggest it. He's a good friend of the channel. He is going to be here on Comics Aficionados in somewhat the future. We've been kind of working that out. So thank you very much, my friend. And also, thank you to Brian Ball, the man behind Rags, and Sailor Rakowski. They spent so much time deconstructing Tony, they forgot to build him back. And that is definitely one of the... You could say that about a lot of characters in modern comics. You know what I'm saying?
You can.
Well, yeah. I figured out the solution on how Tony needs to deal with Hellcat. All he does is he just has a little water spray bottle and he just sprays her in the face.
He says no,
stop it, no, stop it, and eventually it'll leave. But then again, one day he's going to wake up and Hellcat's going to be putting her butthole in his face.
Oh man.
I thought that's what Tony was always doing before anyway.
Get pink eye though.
The iconic characters, like writers come on and like everyone wants to leave their mark and be like, this is gonna be the whatever, like the West era of Iron Man. And they try so hard to leave their mark that they end up just like destroying it. And like it takes a little bit of humility to be like, you know what? This character is a template for this character. I'm going to stick to it. People have an idea of who Tony is, and I'm going to do that. And then naturally, you might just end up being the guy who leaves your mark on the character. And it's like
Yeah.
when you go out of your way to try and, I don't know, be the one who tells the definitive Iron Man story, you actually work at cross purposes for what you want to do.
Well,
You know,
Doug,
the irony, the irony is that you've got these. Well, I was just going to say.
well,
real quick,
just one sentence. A poop stain is still a mark.
yeah. The irony is you have these people out there that are saying that we need to deconstruct, we need to take him apart, we need to we need to take him down a peg and all this. The irony is that their ego is far worse than Tony Stark's because they can't just leave the character to be the character that he's always been.
Yeah.
They have to mess with him. They have to change him. They can't drop their ego for just a little while and actually write a decent story with an existing character. So that's
I
the
do wanna
irony
say-
of all that.
Thank you very much to Drew with Elite Comics for the $4.99 super chat. Stain said it best in the first Iron Man movie. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box full of scraps. That is Tony Stark. That's what we need. And it's not just that he's a super genius, but think about the resiliency of the character. He's basically been taken by terrorists. He's in a cave, and he was able to do all this and and believe in himself like that. That kind of self-belief, you never see that in a Tony Stark comic book anymore. It just feels like he knows that he's the worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he was fucking MacGyver in that movie, and it was great.
Yeah.
We need more MacGyver Tony Stark.
Yeah, and guy that can take care of himself and save the day instead of apologizing constantly. I do want to say thank you very much to Drew with the League Comics for the super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel. The family is growing here in 2021, so we could definitely use the support.
Congratulations,
Well,
by the
thank
way,
you.
Wes. Somebody else put in the comments pointed out about the nags. That was the entire point of Mockingbird in the ASM run that Slot was on.
Yeah, she's just there to
She
point
was
out
there
what
to be an egg.
the hero is.
Yeah.
That's what
Where
they
he
were doing with Lois Lane and Spider-Man. That's why everyone hates that person. That's not Lois Lane.
Well, they had Peter on the couch without a job, without any money, wearing the "Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda" shirt. That was her shirt, or it looked like it was her shirt. It was like too tight on him.
It was. It was her T-shirt.
Yeah. So that's too bad. Hopefully Tony Stark sees better days in the future. But following Iron Man or Tony Stark Iron Man 2020, and now that we got Christopher Cantwell's Iron Man, I don't feel like anything good's going to happen for a while. It's a disappointment, especially since they're wasting all that Kaku art. Now I do want to talk about. Where is this? Soul Finder Black Tide. Obviously, we do have Doug Ernst here on the channel. You crowdfunded this the original Soul Finder Demons match. A pretty big hit. It felt like it found an even bigger audience actually after the promotion or the campaign was over, due to a couple of reviews that were out there. I'm expecting this to be actually an enormous success. What are your thoughts on Soul Finder Black Tide? You've got a new artist this time around. You want to give us all the spoilers on the story?
Sure, I'll try not to give you too many spoilers, but no, like I said earlier, everything's done. Matt Weldon did a fantastic job. This start here, actually the little intro here, this was Timothy Lim did this up for me. So Tim's still around. He's helped with logistics. And Matt just was a great dude to work with. He's super chill, and I can't say enough good things about him. Bill Williams did the lettering on this one. So I'm basically poaching the Punchline team and still using all the Common America, Black Ops guys. And they're all just a bunch of really good guys. And I lean on them and ask them for help. Mark Pellegrini, I mentioned, he read the script again. I don't know if you guys know Mike McNulty at all. He's done stuff at Bam Smack Pow and was over at Spider-Man Crawl Space for a long time. He read the script for Black Tide and gave feedback. So I just try to find guys that are honest and forthright, and they're willing to tell me when I am doing stupid stuff and say, no, that's not quite right. My wife is another one. She will not pull any punches. She will always tell me when I'm doing something moronic. and so that's good to have around. And it's like we're on the launch pad at the printer right now, and it's just a matter of time of when they're going to print it. It's going to be printed at the plant that does all of Doug TenNapel's stuff, so they have multiple plants, and I wanted to make sure that the right plant got it. Not that any are bad at all, but some are more adept at others. That's the feeling that I get. And so they basically, they're like, no, it's going to go to Doug TenNapel's plant. They're going to be the one that are doing it. So there's going to be a hardcover and a softcover edition. And I'm starting the volume 3, writing it probably this week, along with the new property I was talking to you about earlier that you're going to help consult me on. So I'll have to pay you. I'll have to figure out your pay scale.
That's awesome. What were some of the motivations that that inspired this version and this iteration of the book, the next chapter?
So this particular story, how do I say it? I wanted to actually expand the world, and so the first one takes place in this little town, Steepleton, Maryland. It's a story about the character Father Patrick Redder and how he becomes a soul finder. And I wanted to show the broader implications. So for those that don't know, you have to have combat experience in order to be recruited into this sort of order of exorcists, because they take on evil that most people, including other priests, never sort of interact with. And so I wanted to show that evil is not something, and sin and temptation is not something that's just relegated to the civilian world. What happens if the highest echelons of the U.S. government, the most elite special forces, what if they got involved in the occult? What if they got possessed by demons? What would happen then? And so that essentially there's a national security threat. It brings in sort of these special forces, the U.S. Army Night Stalkers, Navy SEALs, all that sort of stuff. And there's a race essentially for this miraculous Eucharist that's at the bottom of the ocean off the coast of Maryland. And if these occultists get it, they could bring this demon called Abyss, or this being, into the world. And so they essentially have to confront, quote unquote, Abyss in this particular tale. So, and this one is, the Abyss is essentially hell and the lack of hope, total hopelessness. And so I wanted to explore, okay, well, how do you extricate yourself from the abyss? And so this book is a lot about teamwork, about camaraderie among a band of brothers, these three men. And I wanted to establish these three guys, our Detective Chua and Father Patrick Redder and Father Crane, as a unit. They're always going to be together moving forward in these books. And if you take any one of these guys out of the equation, the abyss comes into the world. So that's not really a spoiler, but I definitely wanted to have a team book.
Nice.
So, Doug, is this going to be Indiegogo only? Are you doing Kickstarter? What is this going to be at?
I talked to Tim. So Tim, actually, I think were you the one that encouraged Tim to go to Kickstarter?
Absolutely did.
I think that is the case. So I talked to Tim, and he was like, "No, I think you should also put it on Kickstarter as well." I did like that idea for a long time because I wanted to make sure, okay, get this to as many people as possible. I know people have issues with this platform or that platform, so it's like if they want it on Kickstarter, they could get it. If they want it on Indiegogo, they could get it. If they hate both platforms, they could eventually get it on Iconic Comics, their website. And if they don't even like Iconic Comics, they could email me directly, and I will find a way to get people, a book, one way or the other. If you want a book, I will find a way to get you a book. And so it's really just getting...
Well, mine has to be delivered to my house. It has to include like a barbecue.
Well, I did personally deliver a book to Wes, so maybe we can work something out. If I went to the Philippines, I might be able to get you a book in person as well. I actually like meeting it. When I met Englantine from I Love Comics when I was down in Florida years ago. I met Captain Cummings in person. So I'm always the game if someone's either in the area or if I'm in the area, if they reach out to me to grab a meal. So
Cool.
we'll see. Maybe that'll happen.
You know what? I really enjoyed the first book for this, the first Soulfinder book, Demons Match. It was really good, and being an atheist, I still really enjoyed it.
That was something yourself and just some guy, when people that are agnostic or atheists, they say like, hey, no, actually, I really liked it. It was just a good tale that involved the occult. You didn't try and beat me over the head and try and make me feel bad if I don't agree with your particular faith.
Yeah.
That actually means a lot to me because I want to tell it on multiple levels. If you want to explore certain things more, that's great. It's like presenting you with ideas, and you could turn them around. You could kind of see it. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a Catholic guy or whatever, but it's not trying to shoehorn my ideas into your head.
No, you didn't. Because religion fascinates me. I'm not a believer, but it just fascinates me. And you covered a lot of the stuff that just is kind of fascinating to me. And it was a good, fun tale. Whether or not it was, whether or not it's true or not, is kind of irrelevant to me on this. I enjoyed it as a great kind of tale, and I love occult stuff anyway, whether or not I believe in it. I like ghost stories, I like alien stuff. I don't necessarily believe in any of it, but it's fun.
Right. So if people want to see things as a metaphor only, they could totally do that. But at the same time, if they want to, like I said, if they want to look into it, they're like, oh, he's actually using legit, this is Latin, these are real deliverance prayers or whatever, and it's like, no, you could believe it, you could not believe it, but really my intention is like, I just want to tell really good stories. I want to surround myself with cool artists and just have a fun time and kind of harken back to the 80s movies that I grew up with the Indiana Jones and the Back to the Futures and all those sorts of tales that they kind of dabbled in different genres, but they were just entertaining and fun.
Yeah.
So, Doc, I know you're a big fan of Tim. We are having an artist change on here. Matt Weldon's taken over. I love Tim's art on the first book. It almost feels like Matt has a better style for this story, don't you think?
I would agree. Matt's style is a little more realistic, and it also kind of lends itself to more supernaturally, and because I find that like superhero style artists, some of them can get that supernatural horror kind of vibe and some of them can't. Tim's was really good on the first one, but I think Matt's might actually be even a better match.
Yeah, so congratulations, Doug. That was obviously a good get. You attracting high quality artists. It must be very exciting, and I don't. When's you don't know when the campaign's going to start. It's going to be the very beginning of the year, right?
API has all the files they have with the covers. So there's some stuff. So on the Dave Dorman covers that I have, there's an anglerfish, and just doing little stuff where like the anglerfish's the lore is going to be like glow in the dark. So there's little things like that it's just a matter of them figuring out where in the queue I would essentially be in order to print it. And I'm just like, hey, just when you have the green light, print it as soon as you can, get it down to Texas. Iconic Comics is going to be doing the distribution. And then I'll launch right after that. And so I'll be writing the third volume when we eventually launch here. But like I said, as you can see, it's completely finished. It's ready to go. And I wanted to have the books totally printed. So as soon as the campaign's over, boom, you're mailed your book. And this one will actually be up for international customers as well. The first one, they had to come directly through me, and there was a lag. They had to wait for me to do it after work and all that sort of stuff. But this one will be open to most international customers: UK, Ireland, Australia, Germany, all that. There's like a few weird countries that I don't want to put that on Iconic. I'll deal with it myself, where there's problems and they get lost, they get in the negative zone or whatever. So I'll deal with that myself.
So, Doug, is there anything else that you need to get out there for the people on the channel to know about, Soul Finder before you're ready to launch it out, or?
Just if they did not read Demon's Match, I just sent Iconic Comics another batch of copies. They had sold out of that, so if they want to get Demon's Match beforehand, it will be up on their website again very soon once those arrive, if they haven't already. And then Black Tide will be out, and then I'll be going on the third one. So I have no intention of stopping. People liked the first one, and if they like this one, I want to work with Matt for as long as possible. I want to keep Matt Weldon very happy. That's my goal.
You know what? No, go ahead, Wes.
I do want to say thank you very much to Dark Admiral March Hare for supporting the channel, $4.99 Super Chat. Congratulations on 10K, Wes, and looking forward to Black Tide, Doug.
No, thanks. The grassroots support for the first one was outstanding. It was awesome, and everyone was really cool. Everyone who did like reviews, they gave a lot of constructive criticism. I heard you. So any sort of little things I tried to work on. There was some stuff that was my first script with like transitions, and so I learned a lot on the first one, and I hopefully applied those lessons to Black Tide.
So thank you very much for sharing the art and everything. It's exciting stuff, and congratulations on having the there it is, on having the second campaign coming up. Glad the book's finished. Hopefully it gets printed out very soon. So let's move on. We got some controversy to talk about, guys. I think most people probably saw this tweet. It was from Gleb Melnikov, a relatively up-and-coming kind of artist. He did the Ginny Hex one-shot special for DC this week, and he was criticizing the industry for static headshot art. Specifically, he was showing some art from, I believe it was Mark Bagley on Venom. Perch, I know you did a big video on it. It's crazy. The guy sit there and dog John Byrne for like 2 years straight, but he says one thing about Donny Cates, and he had hell to pay.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was an interesting kind of layered story, because when he posted his original stuff on these Talking Heads bit, which was Mark Bagley with Donny Cates' Venom, he immediately gets pretty crapped on by a lot of people within the industry who were, it wasn't just we disagree. It was, you shouldn't be saying things like this, or this makes me so mad that I always, Chris Conray is like, I always tell people never to do this. It will hurt them in the industry. I mean, a lot of kind of veiled threats going on with this guy. And it just went on and on and on. And then eventually he kind of backs down. It's like, I could have worded that better and everything else. And okay, fine. But then you're looking at this, and as I said, it was pretty gross kind of 24 hours in the industry, because he did have this book coming out, which for him is, I'd say, a real reasonably high profile book. I mean, Ginny Hex isn't going to be the biggest thing, but still, it's out there. And then you look just further back, and you see that he's been going on for months, like hundreds and hundreds of tweets, like literally hundreds of tweets, talking about how John Byrne is a terrible artist, has no style, is dated, was never very good. He's so much better than John Byrne. He just goes on and on and on with it. And you're like, and like you said, in fact, if anything, a number of other creators are coming in and being like, yeah, that guy sucks. And I actually comment on this. I got one creator come in who got upset at me, like, don't you realize that John Byrne is a terrible, bigot, awful person? And to be clear, John Byrne has said some insane things, like full-blown, full-blown crazy. But the comment wasn't about what he had said. It was like his style. It was that his style sucks. And I think John Byrne has sold in a massive amount of books. You can dog him for whatever you want. It's up to you, but not his style. And it was such a weird kind of fluff of where, frankly, in my opinion, nobody came out of that looking good. Nobody. I mean, I think Gleb is right. I think that the talking head is way overused in comics. Absolutely. I don't think that's a criticism anybody should take personally. At the same time, I'm like, you have to just look at that and go, why in the world would you spend months and no exaggeration, hundreds of tweets attacking John Byrne? What are you doing? Like, what's anybody doing here? It made no sense.
Yes, like I said, I agree with him. Honestly, yeah, there is too many static guys. Obviously, he was dogpiled pretty good. Doc, what did you think about all this? Were you on Team Gleb or were you anti-Gleb on that one?
Oh no, I'm definitely on Gleb's side, whoever the hell he is. No, the talking head bit it's wildly overused. It's really lazy. It's boring. It just pads out the story. I'm sitting here. Okay, I'm sitting at my desk in my nerd room whenever we do these things, and the desk itself is literally just covered with pages of comic books. And I'm looking at, I was sitting here looking at this whenever we were started talking about this, and there's a little talking head scene in an issue of The Authority during, I don't remember if it was, I think it's the Mark Miller, it's the Art Adams during one of the last couple of issues of Volume 1. And there's a talking head scene, but they somehow managed to make it enjoyable and interesting throughout the whole thing. It's the surgeon, who was the G8 or whatever the hell they were calling it, Authority's version of the doctor, and the captain, which was their replacement for Jenny Sparks, and whatever the chick's name was that was the replacement for Swift. And they're doing a little talking head scene, but they still managed to make it interesting. But that's probably because it's Art Adams on art instead of, and I guarantee Art Adams back in 2003 when this came out made a shit ton more on page rates for a couple issues of The Authority than anyone in comics is probably making it as a page rate these days. And that was 17 years ago. But he still managed to make it interesting, even when you can do talking head scenes that are interesting.
Unlike Phil Noto on X-Men 16 this week.
Well, you can't. I'm sorry, but Phil Noto can't draw interesting.
Good point. Ridiculous thoughts.
Yeah, but no, you can make it interesting, but nobody does it anymore. Instead, it's just slight head tilts, if not just outright copy and paste of the exact same head position as the previous one. Mm-hmm. It's minor Photoshop changes, and it slows down, if not destroys, any momentum or excitement that's going on in the story.
We do have to take a little break, and I do want to say thank you very much to Dark Admiral March Hare for the $9.99 super chat. This is for Doug. He said, if I could make a suggestion, Soulfinder could use a Navy serviceman, possibly named Mark H. Hare, a tough-as-nails admiral, and a bit of a prankster. Just a thought.
Well, this book does have Navy SEALs in it, and I'll just say that there is a character that comes in that if I want to do some stuff with him in the future, that you might have a Navy vet soul finder down the line.
Boom, there you go. I don't know if everyone knows this, but I was actually in the third volume of Black Ops. I might have been the bad guy, but I was in there. I made my comic book debut as a character, written in by Tim Lee.
Awesome.
So, thank you very much for supporting the channel, Dark Admiral March Hare. Hopefully Doug takes that under advisement and we'll get that character in one of his books soon. Sounds like a hoot.
Well, but back on the issue of the talking heads thing, somebody brought up a good point. It's not so much even that it was an attack on a creator. It was the fact that it was an attack on a creator because the industry can't handle one of its own criticizing a trend in art. Most of these motherfuckers have gotten their careers out of criticizing trends in 90s and 2000s art. That's how half of them got their goddamn careers. And the fact is, it's a way that modern artists don't like being, criticized for the fact that they're taking lazy ways to fill out pages.
I agree with you.
It's a shame. Like I said, if you go after this particular topic, then people think you're attacking. Immediately gets this gut reaction of you must be one of the internet baddies. It's you're going after the wrong people. You're going after a Tom King. You're going after, people within this Twitter bubble. And that's really what it is. Because if you gave this opinion in a comic shop, if you gave this opinion on a panel in a convention or anything else, you would not have gotten this reaction because many people have said this. What Gleb said wasn't new. Frankly, it's been out there plenty. It's just that the way that the strong voices on Twitter, which is frankly a tiny subset of comic artists or writers or whoever else, that you're poking at the wrong bear. And so, of course, he gets attacked, and it's like you got too uppity, and it didn't help that a lot of comic fans jumped on that and liked it and retweeted it and said he's
That's the worst part,
and that got him even angrier.
God forbid people give fans shit that they want.
No, exactly. So it's a frustrating case, but it was a case, at least for me personally, nobody else. It was highly then disappointing to go back and see hundreds of tweets of him crapping on John Byrne, which then to me, it took a lot away from what he said. I agree with the point about too many talking heads, but now it just feels like he's going attacking kind of any kind of rando in order to get attention. That's ultimately the expression, the feeling I got. I suspect Gleb was really trying to take some shots at Mark Bagley, frankly, more than anything. I think it just backfired on him. You go back and I can't understate this enough. Hundreds of tweets and the most gross, and none of it really talking about various controversial things Byrne has said, but things like John Byrne's art's never that good. If I drew like John Byrne, I'd be fired from DC immediately. Just goofy stuff.
In fairness, though, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah,
it kills me that these are people that John Byrne's a legend. He is a freaking legend. The man is. He is what carried me through that time in comics, the 80s in comics. Just his artwork was just amazing. His stellar stuff. I mean, okay, you could crap on Sensational She-Hulk for a lot of things, but you could not criticize the artwork. Oh my God. It's just some of Byrne's work during that time was just so iconic. It's beyond belief practically. Yep. And these are people who aren't even man enough to carry his jockstrap, and they're just dumping on them. Okay, yeah, dump on his beliefs, whatever, maybe his politics, whatever you don't agree with, feel free. You can't dump on the man's, creative quality, his work quality. It's stellar. He created the splash page not literally, but he's the one that really brought that out. He's the one that invented so many different styles and so many different it's absolutely mind-boggling that these little piss ants are criticizing his art style.
It's very, I think it's very valid if you want to come in there and say I don't like John Byrne or I think his art's dated. It's fine, but when you're tweeting out tweet number 190 saying the same thing and talking about how you're such a better artist, and if you drew like that, you'd be put on B-level DC books. I hate to tell you, buddy, but Ginny Hex is not an A-level DC book. Just throwing that out there.
It's barely a D-level.
So it's
free comic book day work.
You don't have to. I mean, like everybody should have their own opinion, their own styles, all the rest. It's fine. And like I said, John Byrne, if you go down the rabbit hole of what things John Byrne has said over the last 10 years, there's some crazy stuff in there, like legit crazy kind of stuff. His theory on 11-year-olds is crazy. But it is, and gross in a lot of ways. But again, the art is fine. And this whole drama really did kind of sum up of it felt a lot like a lot of bad behavior, a lot of Twitter stuff, people, professionals bagging on Gleb bagging on a former professional that I might add DC is desperately trying to continue to make money off of by reprinting omnibuses and things that John Byrne has done. So maybe don't do that. It was all kind of silly. The thing that cracked me up about it was the videos I did on this. I did an extremely salty, sarcastic one. And I was surprised by the amount of people who did not get the sarcasm. You
need a sign that says sarcasm.
I got so much hate mail over that thing that just people completely flew right over their heads, and I felt surprised.
You know what? This is a good question. What's worse, comic professionals talking politics or comic professionals shit talking legends?
Yeah,
just all of it, shit talking in general. I mean, yeah, Jimmy. I just try to be graceful, a little bit. Just you could again. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't like that style. It's just by the time you're like at the 100th tweet, was there some light bulb that gone over your head? Like, hey, you seem obsessed about this. Could some friend have kind of pulled Gleb aside? Like, hey, maybe don't keep talking about this. Could somebody have gone to Mitch Gerard's like, hey, maybe you don't need to weigh in on whether Gleb thinks talking heads are bad or not. Just like, where's the help here?
Well, somebody needs to go to Mitch Gerard's and tell him to stop fucking tracing photos. But nobody's going to do that either.
Yeah, model digital comics using 3D models, and there's not an original piece of artwork in 32 pages. I mean, we could go on and on and on about what these idiots in this era are doing. They, like I said, they can't carry his jock strap. They can't hold a candle while he draws. These are like creative midgets, compared to him, and it boggles my mind. And I have to believe it's jealousy in a lot of ways.
Oh, sure. It absolutely. You see fans come in and they post up these pictures, like, hey, check out this piece of art I just found. It's like some John Byrne jam from like the 80s showing the Fantastic Four. And I've talked to various creators who get pissed if they see stuff like that. They're like, why isn't it my stuff? And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. If maybe one day it will be, keep trying, but you can't bitch your way into people, promoting your work. You have to just put out the work. And as I said, I mean, the amount of people who are complaining about things John Byrne said, again, correctly so, many of them have and do and continue to have no problem working with people like Eddie Brazanga. I mean, I'm just saying, there's plenty of bad behavior out there.
Well,
you got to pick at it.
There will never be a $100 artifact edition based on their work. I'll tell you that point blank. X-Men John Byrne artifact edition, $100. Nobody will pay that much to see their piece of their shitty work.
It's like $175, dude.
It's nuts. And I'll tell you what. Well, I paid like $100. Okay. But
there seems to be a strong correlation between the social media busybodies and the people that are always negative. And we talked about the deconstruction earlier, the people that only know how to tear things down. They don't know how to build things up. And so they've tried to essentially turn trashing things into a virtue because they don't have the talent to create something that the legends, they don't have the ability to create something that will last the test of time.
I think it's the participation trophy generation wanting a participation trophy success.
So I do want to say thank you very much to Brad Frederick for the $4.99 super chat. Pretty sure if Byrne did an arc for the upcoming X-Men Legends book, it would move the needle, and I think we would all be very happy about that. You were damn straight it would. Now let's go talk about the X-Men a little bit. And like I said, thank you very much to Brad Frederick for the super chat, and thank you very much to the comic book teddy bear himself, Jimmy from Comic Work, saying love you. Whoa, skips here. That's nice. Little image there. We're gonna do a tag team.
Ooh, sexy.
Snyder DCU in Fatal J here somewhat soon. So thank you very much for supporting the channel, Jimmy. Really appreciate it. The comic book teddy bear makes an appearance. Really appreciate that. So let's talk about this. This is if you thought Ten of Swords was not exciting, I think it's going to get worse now. So in this week's issue of X-Men 16, they're going to do an election to see who the new members of X-Men are, and an election to see who's going to fill the 2 seats on the Quiet Council in Krakoa. It's all leading up, I guess, to the summer event, the Hellstorm Gala. Is that what it is, Perch?
Hellfire Gala.
Hellfire Gala, yeah. And I don't know. Maybe that's the name of the event. It's a terrible event name, but who knows? But basically, yeah, we get this campaign because we've just. If there's one thing that we're not tired of, it's campaigns. If there's one thing in our population and society, we really want more campaigns. I mean, I don't know about you, Biggest, but I want way more campaigns. So we're going to get, I'm calling it somewhere around 5 to 6 months of campaigning, which will be super exciting. And then we get a event of where the winners will be announced at the Hellfire Gala. And Yeah, and no doubt about it, that's definitely going to be an exciting non-twist kind of thing where we get the election of the X-Men. And I'm sure that, look, I can't believe after the last kind of 4 years, and especially the last 2020 that we just went through, why any would think doing a storyline based on an election in comic books is a good idea on any level whatsoever. But why not? So that's what we get.
Because what I really want to do is escape real world election bullshit nonsense with reading comic book election bullshit nonsense, especially for things that shouldn't even be voted on in the first fucking place.
Yeah.
I just really hope they do some jokes about the Electoral College. I hope they kind of manage to fit that in, and like who won the popular vote versus like the mutant Electoral College vote. I hope that there's some.
Oh, you'll definitely get that.
That would be great. I hope that there's some sarcasm, some talk about should it be called not X-Men because it's men. We could have that be part of the election. Maybe somebody can changing it to the X-persons. I mean, let's
voter fraud.
They'll call them the X-Mixin. They'll call them the X-Mixin.
X-humanoids.
Yeah, and then maybe the voting machines could be actually using simple technology, so they're dubious. I mean, we got that. So I can't wait. I cannot wait for the X-Men campaign.
Yay!
All right, Skip, you are the world's biggest Jonathan Hickman fan. We used to talk about everything House of X, Powers of 10, Dawn of X, every single week here on the channel. Can you believe that it's gotten this far?
I can't. I am so surprised. It makes perfect sense that like it was us talking about X-Men and now it's you and Doc, because I've pretty much just turned into how Doc feels about like the X
You're
books.
welcome.
Like we might be the same person. I don't know how we're both on the stream at the same time, but like I can't. Yeah, I really can't believe it's gotten this far. I can't believe that I'm not buying any of the books anymore, and I haven't for quite some time. The only way I even stay abreast of any of it is like checking out This Week in X-Men with you and Doc, and watching some other videos here and there. But yeah, it's just so interesting to me that uninteresting to me, but surprising to me that it has gotten this far. This is easily his worst work that I've ever read of any of the things that he's done, and it's a far cry from anything else that he's ever done. Even the other things that maybe if you did or didn't like any of his other past works, I think you can easily say that this one just seems to have like almost no direction. He's a very detailed person who likes to plant seeds, pun unintended, and let them sprout and grow later and whatnot, and even works well in very small stories. His Shield book is one of the most inspiring like works and whatnot that I've read in comics, and just to see that this is what's going on now, I just continue to go back to when he did have a Twitter presence, how he was always joking about how he's trying to get fired. Maybe that was something in his contract that if he gets let go, he gets a certain amount of money or something. But yeah, I'm really
Remember
baffled.
the House of X, Powers of 10, how excited we were. It's like every week, I cannot wait to talk about this comic book. We can't talk about it soon enough. Now it's like, man, I got to talk about another issue of X-Men.
Yeah, complete 180.
Is Doc going to hate it more than me?
That's why I tune in.
Yeah. I mean, like, Joe's right in the comments. He's at least Chuck Austin seemed to have some clue as to what the X-Men actually are. Nobody in this fucking X office seems to know. At least nothing that actually
Percy to a degree.
Yeah. And
I'd get Chuck Austin back on X-Men. I'll say it. I'll put Chuck Austin back. Bring him.
I would take Chuck Austin over everybody but Ben Percy in that office right now. That's how bad this is. It makes Chuck Austin X-Men look good by comparison.
Well, it's going to look great when Brett Booth shows up on the art.
Yeah. I mean, but we're getting X-Men Legends for that. everybody buy the shit on X-Men Legends because maybe it'll remind the X office what the fuck we actually buy X-Men for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had. I don't know the exact number. Somebody in the chat probably does. I'm joking. I'm joking about Chuck Austin, by the way. Just to be clear. But we've had. I still, some of these stories would be better. We've had well over 100 issues at this point since House of X Powers of 10. I think somebody was making a comment. We've had, I think, 2 omnibuses worth of X-Men since House of X Powers of 10, just in terms of total volume. There's an insane amount of stuff coming out, and it's remarkable to think how many comics have been put out with so little that's actually occurred. It's nuts.
Nothing has really happened at this point. None of the seeds that were planted, the only seed planted in House of X Powers of X that has even been touched at this point,
with the threesome.
Yeah, the original Horseman.
Oh, Jesus.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And nobody gave a shit about that.
I thought it was cool until I saw it.
Exactly.
Never mind.
You thought it was cool, but it turned out it wasn't.
Whoops.
I mean, we have the Orcus and the Forge Station and all the AI shit and phalanx and black holes and all that stuff.
The Chimera.
The Chimeras, all that stuff that we were actually kind of like, hey, this is cool. It's the future.
Moira.
Fucking plants and old
The hell
lady.
is Moira?
And,
gosh.
and some other stupid island with a bunch of stupid mutants that nobody gives any damn about.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. I do want to
so
say thank you very
disappointing.
much to Ryan Wilson for the $4.99 super chat. I think he discovered the channel because of X-Men, and I almost feel bad now. I'm sorry. It didn't turn out like we expected. As slow as X-Men is heading and as big as they are trying to go, I don't see Hickman finishing his story and it being any good at this rate. I don't see him finishing his story. I did my comic predictions yesterday. I don't think he's surviving the year. I don't think he's enjoying it. It doesn't feel like this is a Hickman vehicle anymore. It feels like it's been taken over probably by Jordan White and some other managerial types at Marvel that are telling him how to really do his story correctly.
Teeny Howard.
Yep. And it'll get the whole reins of the X office will get handed over to Tinny Howard, and Jonathan Hickman will smile and cash his check and say it's in great hands.
There's no way they're going to give it to Tinny Howard, but
Yes, they will.
nah.
Yeah.
There's nobody else.
Yeah, I think it'll go to Teeny Howard. I'm with you. I think it's crazy, but Teeny has still got that exclusive contract. She's somebody that Marvel's very, very high on, just like they gave Kelly Thompson the reins for a ton of stuff. I think it's there. And what's strange about this whole thing is that there's a bubble again of X-Men fans who are very happy with everything they're getting right now. They're loving it. They're making a lot of noise. It's really no different than the Carol Corp was back in the day with Captain Marvel. It was saying it was a perfect book. But you look at the sales trends, and during that time, the book was selling about 20,000 copies a month. So it's like, this isn't a big group, but it's a noisy group. And I think this is what, this is where Marvel's tuned to kind of listen to. And they're not in a position where they have to really count the numbers very much. They're being owned by Disney. Nobody's really paying attention to that side of things. So you got a vocal, tiny minority who's screaming about how great it is. And that's really all you need. And so things can linger on for a long time where that's concerned. I think next year is definitely the year of Teeny Howard getting a much higher profile than she's had already.
Yeah,
Well,
You're doing 2022 predictions and you're destroying the channel in one.
Oh, you're kidding. No, people are going to want to tune in to see the Teeny Howard stuff.
I'm out of here. Thank you, Colonel. There's no future comics.
sorry, she is literally the backwash of comic creators. I mean,
She seems like a really nice person. I've seen her in interviews. She is passionate about comics, but she's not the right writer for X-Men or Thanos or any of the stuff they put her on. She needs to be on a magic-driven, Harry Potter series. But I do want to say thank you very much to Ryan Wilson.
Yeah, and you are right. She is a very nice person in real life. She's she's very kind. She does read comics. She does. I mean, she's got this knowledge. All that's good. I think it's a miscasting issue. I think she's got some clear strengths. I think she tells you those strengths of what she likes to write and what's her passion. And I think she's tried to kind of make Excalibur into that book a little bit. But just like this is one of those cases where I would love to see them put her on something she thinks is good. Like maybe she'd be in the amazing Doctor Strange writer. I don't know. Just head that direction.
I don't even think it would be that. She would be spectacular on like a YA portal fiction type or in Magic
Portal
line
fiction?
books. No, that's it, because that's all she's writing. She's writing portal fiction and magic shit. That's the only thing she knows how to write. And wine. You know, she's just a quintessential wine ant. Stick her on some YA nonsense with, you know, the teenage Doctor Strange that somehow was a magician before he was a doctor, before he became a magician.
How's she not the writer for Strange Academy?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good
That'd be
point.
perfect for her.
I just it is worth noting, and because she gets some hate, and I am not liking her run, to be clear, and I know I'll get some people pissed at me in the comment, but if you run it, this is not somebody that you've seen crapping on Republicans or any of that. She's got her own opinions, I'm certain of it, but if you go into a convention, very nice, all the rest. I just think horribly miscast with this book, and
she seems like a very, even for a kind of wokeette, because I have seen some of her opinions and they're a bit woke, but she's very polite about it. She's
very
not
polite.
obnoxious about it, and for that I give her she gets kudos. That's she for being a decent human being. I will give her credit.
She's professional with it. She absolutely is.
And she just is not a comic book creator. She's not a superhero creator.
Definitely not. Magic is. I mean, she's literally a witch, so it makes sense to put her on those types of things.
Is she really a witch, or are you just making stuff up?
Yes.
No,
she's a witch. She's a practicing. Yeah.
You got to team her up with Grant Morrison. Magic gets me.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Yeah.
We Alice Cott. That's it. You just they're both Z-list. You can't saddle Morrison with somebody as Z-list as Tinny Howard.
I don't know. He might make a level up potion for her, and then maybe she turns into. I don't know what she would turn into because it's a spell. So I have no idea. All I know is assemble the Avengers team of the magic people in comics, and maybe we'll get some good books out of some of them. Make Alan Moore the head of it all. Make him the Captain America of their Magic Avengers comic book writing team. Who knows?
He's so deluded. He thinks people won't get this reference, but he thinks he's the Adam Forrest of modern comic books, the modern comic book era, and it's just ugh. But there's this
maybe Shing Hala knows what the hell you're talking about.
But there is a very small but influential group of witches in comics, and I used to run into those circles and weirdness and all that, but they have a lot of influence. I think a lot of it is that there's a lot of superstition with the comic pros, and they think that they'll get hexed and stuff like that. And
Doug, are you worried that you're going to get hexed by witches?
As long as I'm in a state of grace, I'm not worried about any witches. No.
Boom, that's me 24/7.
365.
That's it. Somebody had a great idea. Put Tinny Howard on Iron Man. Since he's basically their fucking tech wizard, that's the only thing he shows up to gift people technology and then get shit on.
He had spiritual armor last time, though.
If magic and the occult is real and actually does work, they have no idea how to use it. Let's just put it that way. So
why aren't her books better?
they have no idea how to use it, and they're looking in the wrong direction. So let's just put it that way.
Iron Fairy.
Yes, Iron Fairy. No, well, look, but the idea of having some ridiculous election on who the X-Men should be is fucking stupid, and whoever came up with this idea needs punched in the face.
No,
Sorry.
this is Hickman. This goes back.
Right?
Yeah, if you go back to
It's similar to what he's done in East of West.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And he's talking about X Corp
Sadly.
and all this kind of stuff. This one's Hickman. This is his idea. It's
Well, then he should punch himself in the fucking face.
Did you give
Yeah,
yourself
but
a
East of
swirly,
West is
Mr. Hickman?
way better than this.
Did you give
way.
yourself a swirly, Mr. Hickman? Why'd you do that? Because I put an election in the X-Men. I had to.
Again, if you just going through the last 18 months, like nobody wants an election. Nobody wants more election. Like nobody wants this.
No.
Whatever side, Republican, Democrat, whoever you are, nobody wants more.
No.
Yes.
You know what I want to do? I want to thank Kenneth Dowling for the $5 super chat. Happy New Year's, guys. Here's the new beginnings and great comic books. Well, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Glad you could make it, and really do appreciate it. But we have come to the end of our time here. We do like to do something at the end that we call comic book recommendations. Doug, obviously, you were the special guest here. I really appreciate you coming on here, talking some Spider-Man, plugging your book, talk a little bit of Iron Man. Hopefully we didn't talk about too many witches and stuff like that. Do you have any comic books you're recommending to the viewers this week?
Well, I'm always game to talk about anything, even if it's witches. But yeah, in terms of recommendations, like I said, I read Spider-Man and Iron Man, and those are basically the two I stick to. I'm not happy with Iron Man really at the moment, and Nick Spencer, as much as he has annoyed me in the past, he is a good writer, and if you like Spider-Man, then you probably want to check out The Amazing Spider-Man. Even though Last Remains, it was not quite Last Remains. It was something else.
It's not over, folks. Spoiler.
Yeah, ASM, good book.
Laster Remains. That's the next one.
If it's Marvel or DC, don't recommend it. Man, Second Street Marvel. He's Second Street Indies, folks. Also here with the channel, thank you so much for joining me, Skip. I really appreciate it. Got to get back into our X-Men days. What do you recommend? Do you recommend a little bit of Black Panther?
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, it's funny. I was walking out my door the other day just thinking like, man, Ta-Nehisi Coates' like first 2 volumes of Black Panther is really good, and no one will probably ever read it because of how bad his Captain America is, but they're missing out. Don't worry about that. Check out Coffin Bound. If you're looking for something that's more like lyrical and like literarily, is that literary? I don't know. I'm supposed to be good with words, obviously not. If you're looking for something that just has like some really profound thoughts, concepts, Blue and Green by Ram V, I'm really enjoying. I haven't finished reading yet, but if you want something that's kind of more personal story, and if you're into music, especially jazz, it's really cool. Even if you're not, you can follow along for the story because anybody that's faced any kind of tragedy can kind of relate. I swear people are sleeping on Cyberpunk 2077 Trauma Team. That book was really fun and really good, and one of my favorite things that I've read from Cullen Bunn, and then everything else obviously is Ed Brubaker to me. So check out Reckless for anybody that hasn't checked out Reckless yet. It was a fun ride, and I'm glad that we're going to get another hardcover here in the next few months.
You're recommending Cullen Bunn on the channel? Are you trying to make Doc freak out?
A little bit. I got to convince people that me and Doc aren't actually the same person now that I've incepted that into people's minds.
You recommend Cullen Bunn, Doc might just explode. But before we get to Doc and what he's recommending, I do want to say thank you very much to Marvel 29 or 2099 for the £10 super chat all the way from the UK. Happy New Year. Here's a little something to say congrats on 10K subs. Well, thank you very much, and congrats to Perch on 10K subs as well. It was written in the stars, folks. We hit 10K subs like within minutes of each other. All right, Doc, what are you recommending from Cullen Bunn?
Wait, what? Sorry, you said Cullen Bunn, and I immediately went to Jerry Duggan and Tinny Howard and all the other that are the exact same person. I'm literally recommending not buying new comics last week. Save your money.
What?
No. You know what? Did King in Black come out this week or last week?
It wasn't this week.
No, it wasn't this
okay.
week. But it's coming up next week.
I don't remember what the hell I even. Wolverine. Okay, Wolverine number 8/350. It's pretty good.
That variant cover. If anybody can get that variant cover, that you know the one. Get
Which
it.
one?
Oh my God. The only one that actually looks good.
Well, there's the Adam Kubert aping, or I'm sorry, the Art Adams doing the Age of Apocalypse versions of all the characters from
No,
the cover of his classic X-Men #1, which is a great looking cover. I really like the Dave Finch one because that's the one I picked
that's a
up.
good. That's a great. I think that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a weird like glow in the dark one. It was pretty good. Adam Kubert's kind of phoning it in a little bit. The Victor Bogdanovich pages are much better. But it was still a good fun story. I recommend drilling yourself in the brain rather than reading X-Men 16. And yeah, that's honestly, I think that's about it. I think there was only like a couple of comics I bought this week.
It's true. It was a light week.
Yeah.
Pele, what do you recommend down the shop?
Well, on the pulls, go by pull numbers. Amazing Spider-Man 55.
Oh yeah.
My God,
that cover is awesome.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I do not recommend people going and getting new comics graded. However, this is going to be iconic for years and decades to come. It's a beautiful, gorgeous cover. Go get the nicest one you can. Go get it graded with the special label and everything like that. It'll be worth $300 in about 4 or 5 years. So I'm not joking either. Yeah, that cover in high grade is going to be kind of difficult to find because it's a black cover. And Last God, you're not reading that. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Keep reading that.
Not liking fantasy shit.
Yeah, whatever.
That's what I'm doing.
There's always crazy, weird people out there. But anyway, and True Believers, keep buying the True Believers, guys. I'll plug them every single week because it's $1, and it's amazing ways to get into characters and books that you are not familiar with, and then you can go from there. You'll be better informed.
Awesome.
Wait, hold
All right.
on a second. Cobra Kai season 3 is already out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh damn! Now I know what I'm doing.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Perch, what do you recommend this week?
Well, no, I think Doug's has right in what he said. I think Amazing Spider-Man. It's a good story, even if it didn't end and everything. It's solid. I think Challenge of the Super Sun's out on digital, so it's nice that people who've been clamoring for John Kent to be young again. It has the same feel, same story. It's good stuff, and so I hope that some people will check that out, even if they don't like digital, to kind of support that book doing something. Overall, I went back and I reread East to West, so that was lots of fun. I started Cobra Kai. That's not a comic, but it still is. I'm curious to get people's opinions. The humor has shifted slightly from the first 2 seasons, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of that, but it's still a solid show. I mean, other than that, there's always a lot of good things to read, and Brian Ball's. I got a sneak peek at what he's doing, and it's excellent. So lots of good stuff. People have been sending me a lot of indie comics, a lot of things they're trying to do, and I desperately need to do some more reviews. But I read a lot of good comics from new people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I'm recommending John Carpenter's Tales of Science Fiction Vortex 2.0 number 7. It is the penultimate issue. It's been an excellent story. It made my top 10 stories of 2020 list. Also, what am I recommending? Oh, if you like Ghost Rider, there's a Ghost Rider Return of Vengeance with a character I'm not all that familiar with, but it was kind of fun. It was pretty good. And then Canto 2, The Hollow Men from Drew Zucker and David Booher is out right now. And issue 4 was this week. It's still very good. Not quite as good as the first one, but it's still very good. All right, I think that's going to do it. I think everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Very, very excited you could make it. We did hit 10K subs before the end of 2020. That was the goal. Perch is about to lap me. He's going to be at like 40,000 subs in about a week and a half. But we made it, folks. And thank you all for joining us. And thank you so much to Doug for joining me. I really appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, man. Congrats.
Congrats.
Later, y'all.
That's
Washoe